Trump organization has come to you with?
Because there's a lot of things that I know that, and I know where to look. So, the old phrase, Flynn knows where the bodies are buried. If I knew things now, I would be exposing them, and I to a degree I do, but a lot of it is you got to be in a government position where you have access to really sensitive stuff. But I know where those things are.
I'm Leo Zaki with Eddie Floyd and a whole host of folks today, and it appears that we've got General Michael Flynn in the studio with us.
Thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it.
Oh, no, it's a pleasure and a privilege to have you on, sir. You are a true American hero, and I was blessed to have the privilege of meeting you there outside of Sacramento when you came up there, and have Ivan Ranklin on the show the following day, and your son as well. And it's just a privilege to have you on. I was just telling our audience out there, the whole story about just basically how you've been extremely persecuted by a corrupt government, and it's only been, the flames have been fanned by this horrible fourth branch of the government known as the mainstream media.
Oh, it's terrible. It's a police state. We're living in a police state, folks. I mean, I don't even call it the deep state. It's Marxist, it's communism, and it's a police state. I mean, it's getting to get worse. Don't think that, and God help us that we got to get Trump over the line here, and and he's got to win. Otherwise, we're really not, we're not looking good. But so we get him over the line, and then he's going to have to help. He's going to need help to rip this police state apart.
Yes. And I wanted to ask you, General, you were gearing up to be part of basically undoing and rooting out the corruption
Exactly.
in the Obama administration. They were going to have you originally doing that, and then you did get the nod to be vice president, and then I don't know, the bureaucrats surrounding Trump.
Yeah, it's the establishment. No, it's the establishment. If there's an establishment elite that they've been picking the vice presidents for decades, for generations. There's so much that I think the American people don't realize. And unless you're in the job, like, in my case, I started to do it when I was head of the Defense Intelligence Agency, and came, for a couple of reasons, came crosswise with the Obama administration. And at that time, that was 2012 to 2014. And then, of course, when I became National Security Advisor, when I was designated that in November of 2016, right after the election, it was like the gates of hell were unleashed against me. And it was because I was planning on doing what I had started in the Defense Intelligence Agency, which is one of the largest intel agencies in the world. I was going to do that to the National Security Council, the 17 intelligence agencies, parts of the Department of Defense. The National Security Advisor, when is an important role, but when we were on the campaign trail with Trump in 2016, and you're talking, people, the rallies would be, drain the swamp, right? That was one of my goals. And when you're surrounded by swamp people that, and I'm not talking about the Obama administration now, although they have their own accounting that is going to have to be done, but we're talking about Republicans, the GOP establishment, that were also part of that swamp. And as we've all seen. So, for me, and I think for America, that's just why I think, I think humbly, the American people have really come to my aid and come to my side, and they stand with me because they know that Jesus, initially it was like, I don't know, maybe this Flynn guy did something. Maybe he did something with Russia because he sat next to Putin at a table, shit, I'd have put a bullet through his head if I was asked, but I think initially people felt like that, and then all of a sudden they started to see more and more and more stuff, and now everybody sees it. It's undeniable, And look at what they're doing now, guys. They are bringing Russia back, right? They're bringing the Russia hoax back, and they're gonna start to say, well, all these people are, Russia wants to support Trump. Well, shit, we just saw where, Putin talked about, he wants Harris. And we saw this latest cyber attack where they stole stuff from the Trump campaign and gave it to the Harris campaign. I mean, come on, so everybody knows it. And now what we have to do is we have to continue to expose it. Shows like yours, people have to do their own research. I got that. And they have to find people who they trust to listen to. And we have to focus on the future, on what we are going to do when we get back into into office, so to speak, right? And that's what I think the American people want right now.
And that's exactly what they're going to get with the Trump administration. And my question for you would be: will you be a part of that undoing this corruption? Are you going to actually re-enter that role like you originally entailed back in 2012, 2014? Will you be able to do that? Is that something that the Trump organization has come to you with?
Well, here's what I would say is that, so what would be a role for me? I think that the best role for me is to be part of something that looks at government reform. And that's that could be a polite way of saying drain the swamp, right? Because there's a lot of things that I know and I know where to look. So the old phrase, Flynn knows where the bodies are buried. If I knew things now, I would be exposing them, and I to a degree I do, but a lot of it is you got to be in a government position where you have access to really sensitive stuff. But I know where those things are, and until you're in charge,
Right.
Sad thing is that I was only able to spend 3 weeks in that job.
Sure. Yeah. But you were uncovered a lot, and that's when they realized,
right,
this guy's not playing ball. He's not on our team.
Yeah. Go back and look at me. The one time I stood in the White House press room, and I made a statement about Iran. Okay, go back and just for your viewers, and probably find it on YouTube, or for your viewers, your audience, and you guys, go back and look at that statement. That statement, a lot of people on both sides, because this isn't the Iranian nuclear deal, and what we're doing with Iran, it runs on both sides of the aisle, and that also blends up into Eastern Europe and all the way over to China, certainly Afghanistan and Pakistan. So there's so much at stake right now, and that's why I hope we win in November. And we know the results. We should know the results. This is the United States of America. We should know the results Tuesday night, 5 November. This is ridiculous. We don't know the results. It's that to be third or fourth world shit. Everybody else, every other country that does this does it in one day. And then once in, then it's okay. Let's sit down and let's talk about exactly where we want to get the cleaver out to start cleaving parts of the government. Like people always ask me, if you were going to do anything, what would you do? What would be the first act? My answer is usually comes as a surprise, because my first recommendation would be to close the Department of Education. If there is a place that's screwing the country right now, is the Department of Education. That has to be shut. I mean, shut the doors of the Department of Education in Washington, D.C. Tell all those people that are working there, tell them, thank you for your service. You're not going to come back in on Monday. You turn your badges in and go find. Here's a 30 or a 60-day stipend that we will give you. We'll pay you. Take that and go find a job out in middle America somewhere.
Yep. I couldn't agree with you more, General. I want folks to learn your whole story, and the best way to do that is by watching the documentary that you guys have put together. I mean, it's incredible. And for all of you out there, you guys got to go to flynnmovie.com. That is the place to find it. You can rent it, you can stream it, you can buy it for a friend. It's absolutely the real truth of what's going on. And General Flynn, he was the first one to be absolutely persecuted by the government in such a tyrannical way. He's been dealing with this now for over a decade.
I mean, essentially since 2015. Yeah. So, I mean, it's 9 years. I mean, it's something unbelievable. But you know what? So I have seen the worst, of humanity in my military days. I have witnessed my own friends dying in combat, and also, and through the freaking the vaccine programs. I've lost five friends dead, and so I'm alive. I'm relatively healthy.
You still surfing?
I still try to surf. I own 10 surfboards. I mean, I've been surfing for 55 years.
Wow.
So I am not going to give up. These bastards are they picked the wrong guy, and they picked the wrong family.
No doubt about it.
Let me ask you a question, because here in Pennsylvania, and you know that it's a big swing state right now. Everything kind of lies with Pennsylvania. And one of the things that we notice is that a lot of veterans, younger veterans, are not willing to vote. And you, for 33 years, were one of the most respected generals, by your men, by everyone around you. And what would you say to these people who have served, who have kind of given up on government, and to kind of inspire them that this is the year they have to do something? So what would you say to them?
Yeah, what I'd tell them is that it's our duty. I mean, our duty as citizens of this nation is to exercise the rights that others have sacrificed their lives for. And one of the most important rights, that it makes us all equal on the same day or at the same moment in time, is that right to vote.